My son's getting married in a few weeks. And I wanted to give him something that was made, not bought. Something that would be in his kitchen for the next 30 years with his name on it. So I made this. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this personalized cutting board. I'm going to show you all the details, all the cuts. We actually cut a drip groove on the other side. So if they don't want to cut up this side, they actually don't have to. They can use this side. I'm going to show you how I finished it and take you through all the processes so you could make one yourself if you wanted to as well. You wouldn't even need a CNC if you just wanted to make the board and not personalize it. So keep watching and we'll get into this build. All right, so I'm making a cutting board out of this. And I do not want the live edge on. So the first thing I usually do when I do that, when I try to get a live edge off of a piece, is I figure out where I need to cut it. So I'm just going to kind of cut it so it just, because this arcs in, I'm going to try to make this as wide as possible. So I'm just going to barely cut here and it'll probably just come right down like that. I do not have a jointer here. So what I'm going to use is just like a handheld circular saw. We'll set up a fence, we'll rip it, and then I'll go to the table saw to rip this other edge. That way I'll have two edges that are parallel to each other. Now I may come back to the first edge and recut it on the table saw just to clean up anything, because the saw is just not going to make as nice of a cut as the table saw will when I use that handheld circular saw. So I may make two cuts on this side, and then I'll have two parallel edges, and I can get these ends trimmed up straight, and that will be the bulk of the work actually. Other than that, it's just going to be sanding. I may route a little rounded groove around the edge. I'm not positive if I'm going to do that or not, but still thinking about that. Other than that, fairly simple. There'll just be some sanding that needs done, obviously. That's it. So I'm going to line this cut up. There we have a fairly straight edge now off that piece that had a curved edge. Ouch, dang, just got a splinter. Not near as nice as running a joiner across this edge. However, sometimes you can't use a joiner. If you work with a really long live edge piece, this is usually how I get them straight. It's just, you can't join them, especially by yourself. But I mean, especially a real heavy one, it tends to want to tip and wobble. Really hard to get a good job done. So this is a way to do it. So now we can take this, put it against the fence on the table saw, and cut this over here exactly where we want it, and get those nice and straight, which will then make it easy to get these ends straight. Make this as wide as possible, so I'm not exactly sure. Guess I could measure real quick. About 10 3/4. About 10 3/4. Pretty close to where I was. All right, let's make this cut. Now I'm gonna lightly trim this other side just to clean it up. Now we just need to trim the ends. To cut these ends, I'm gonna do something I don't like doing. My saw will not reach the whole way out. I don't have any kind of miter guide for my table saw. So this is about the best way possible for me to do it with the tools that I have. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut, I don't even need this actually. I'm gonna cut what I can, flip it, and try to line it up the best I can and cut again. Not always the easiest to do. My thought behind this is it may not be dead on perfect, but what I'll do is I'll fix it when I get to the sanding process. So I've lined this up to where it's gonna cut. Actually, I want a little bit less. Should cut the whole way, and we'll see how this goes. I will say this, I'm using this rosewood. This stuff's hard. I mean, that was not an easy cut. So I'm just gonna put it in the kerf that I had it in. That way I'm at least pretty close and make this last cut. And by looks of it, it actually is pretty good. I got a little saw mark right there. I think if your saw is pretty well in line, like squared up and in tune, you should get an okay result. It's not perfect, but it's close enough, I think. So I'll do the same thing on the other end. I don't really care about the exact size. I'm just going for a rectangular shape. So whatever it is here. Just utilizing the entire board. So we'll try to make this cut now. Stuff's really hard to cut. Surprised. Nice thing is, should make a nice cutting board. All right, so again, similar result. I can see saw marks, but all that's going to get sanded off anyways. So we are at I guess we're at the sanding stage now. While I think about if I'm gonna make that little groove around the outside or not. All right, so here's what we got going on. This is actually my second attempt at routing this. We're going to route like a juice edge around the outside here. I did a test run just a minute ago, and the board was not the same thickness at one end as opposed to the other, so it was cutting deeper on one end than the other. So I went and planed the whole board, got it nice and flat. We're starting over. So I have the center here. Actually, it was off on the center too on that last cut, so it wasn't a complete loss. I was going to have to plane it anyways. I don't know what happened. I tried center it because you can like draw a line from corner to corner, and where they cross should be the center. It wasn't, so I don't know why that didn't work. Usually works, but and I checked the squareness. Everything looked fine. So I actually measured it this time, and we're getting ready to cut. All right, so first glance, this looks good. Everything looks centered. The depth looked equal the whole time, so I'm very happy with this. I'm gonna let this run. You get the idea. It's just making a rectangle. The bit is like a bullnose type of bit. It's just a complete roundover. So I was looking for like a 3/8 wide groove. The bit is 1/4. I set it so it would make several passes, just because I wasn't sure. I didn't want to end up with like a weird ridge in the bottom of that. I wasn't sure what to set the step over, which is how much it overlaps each pass. So I just probably did overkill. It's going to take a little bit longer, but if I don't have to go in and sand these grooves, it's definitely worth it. So I'll let this run. We'll get back to things as soon as it's done. Okay, so talking to my wife, she said she'd like it personalized. She's right. So this is for my son's wedding, and I guess what I thought was the only problem is you can get bacteria if I engrave it. I don't have a laser burner or whatever, like a CNC laser engraver. So all I have is this really wide 40 or a 90-degree V-bit. So I thought, well, I'll put it on the backside. They don't have to use it. It just kind of commemorates the day. And so we're going to cut this out. May never see it, but it's nice so they can remember where it came from. So I'm going to get this started right now. Again, I did this on the back side. They can choose to put it on display or not. It'll hold up nicer, you know, if they're not cutting on it. So they may want to just lean it against their backsplash or something like that. I don't know. Or they can just throw it in the drawer. It's totally up to them. This side has a little more purpose with the juice tray. I don't know what you call that. Where like meat juices can collect, so it doesn't flow out on your countertop. So that's the whole point of that. But as you can see, it needs sanded. So we're going to sand this, and then we'll be ready for finish. This looks good enough. I shouldn't have any issue with sanding this. I'm not going to sand that deep, and because this side looks pretty good. So we'll get sanding and finishing, and then it'll be ready for wedding. All right, so one thing I forgot. I need to put a roundover on this. So I'm not going to sand this yet. I'm going to round this over with this router bit right here. So I'm going to set this machine up. It's just going to put a small rounder over on both sides. Should make it, you know, trim out a lot nicer. When I'm done with this, I'm just going to sand. I'm not going to show it. You guys don't want to watch me sanding. It's extremely boring. I think it's boring. I would love to not have to ever sand again. So we're just going to jump ahead from that to the finish steps, and we'll be done. I'm going to set this fence, and I'm just going to round over all the edges, top and bottom, since I really don't know which side is top or which side is bottom. It's time for finish. I actually forgot to film. I finished the other side, so spoiler alert, there's how it's going to look. Probably going to put another coat on that side, but I want to show you how I applied this. For some reason I wasn't thinking when I did the other side, and I forgot that I needed to actually record it. So what I am using is industrial strength butcher block oil, and this is the same company as the Odies oil. Really like this stuff. This is the first jar of the butcher block oil I've had. Thought it might be a good application for this. I used it on some charcuterie boards that I made in the previous video. I've also used it on some coasters. So usually I use just the normal Odies oil. Thought this might soak in a little bit more is my thought. Butcher block oil, it's a little thinner. I'm actually going to put a pretty heavy coat on, and I just want it to set in. Now, As I explained in other videos, they recommend you work it into the wood using the Scotch-Brite pad. So that's what I'm doing right here, but I'm using more than I normally would on most projects. I kind of want it to just puddle a little bit, not a lot, but I really want the wood just saturated in this. And I'm actually thinking coming back and doing another coat even, just to make sure that, because it's a cutting board, just to make sure that we got enough in there. I'm a little worried that it's going to be hard to get out of those numbers and letters, but we'll see. But you can see this stuff, it makes the grain pop. I love it. Just beautiful stuff. Really just makes the wood stand out. We'll buff this out when it's soaked in and mostly dry, and then I'll evaluate and see if it needs another coat. Again, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do about these letters. I'm hoping it just soaks it all in, because we did open up some grain there and it may just be porous and soak it. So that's my thought, but real easy to put on. Smells good. I love how this stuff smells. And I believe it's just a mixture of like oils and waxes. I know when you go to wash your hands after using it, it almost like beads up. The water beads up like a wax on your hands. So I don't know, but it looks pretty good, and we'll let this dry and buff it out. All right, I'll let this sit for a little while here. I'm going to buff it out. Try to get down in these little grooves. And I'm probably going to repeat this process. Like I said, I really want it to just soak as much of this in as possible. Looks beautiful. Just to get down in these little grooves, I think I'm going to use like a nail. Wrap this cloth in it and just kind of work. I don't want to poke through the cloth. Just kind of work down in. Just get anything excess I can out of there. So like I said, I'm going to put a little more on here. I'll probably do that until I feel it's not soaking anymore. And then we will wrap this thing up. Now, normally I wouldn't put multiple coats like that on. I just think that because this is a cutting board, I just wanted to saturate it, penetrate it as deep as possible. So we'll see how this goes. So here it is. As you can see, it's not a very complicated project. This rosewood, it probably, the whole board I bought was $130. This was maybe a third of that. So a little over $40 for this piece of wood. It looks beautiful, handcrafted, way nicer than anything you could buy in a store. If you were to make something like this as a gift for someone, I'm sure they would just greatly appreciate it, which is why I wanted to share that with you. If you're new to this channel, my name's Andy. I spent 18 years as a high school shop teacher and decided to create this channel to share my woodworking knowledge with you so that I can answer questions that maybe you have when woodworking in your shop, especially for beginners. I know there's a lot of things you need to learn, and my hope is I can just help you get at least a little bit to help you progress that skill. If you'd like to know more, check out my website. It's stoneandtimber.net, and please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. If you see a hype button down below this on that same bar where the subscribe button is, please click it. It's probably only there for a few days after this video releases, but it really helps this channel, it helps this video, and I appreciate it so much. If you're looking for other content that is similar to this, where you're gonna learn how to make something cool, check out the videos on the screen. I'm sure there's something there you like, or just check out my channel in general. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.